what is blah blah? And I say, well, blah blah is just what forms the contrast with glue glue. So we understand that glue glue means not blah blah, and blah blah means not glue glue. Then it's clear you haven't been told anything informative, right? You don't actually know. If you don't know what blah blah means, me telling you that glue glue means not blah blah doesn't tell you what glue glue means.
So how do you respond, Veckel? God exists because?
Because
He possesses what's called a deity.
True.
So
Thanks, Tim.
there's no cause to God. God. God didn't come to be from something external to himself. So.
Yeah, that question assumes God exists. It's just asking why does he exist? The question is assuming his existence. Just asking why does he exist?
That's a good point. So begging the question.
So now it's a different question. Now, so you're asking why does he exist?
The question is supposed to be, you believe God exists. Why? Why do
Yeah,
you say or
and because
believe? What's your reasons?
I believe he revealed it to people everywhere.
So,
What's that?
Now,
What does
now,
reveal
why
mean?
don't you believe that God exists?
that didn't take long, did it? Blimey.
Because I believe he didn't reveal.
Yeah, he didn't reveal himself to me, so I guess I'm justified in believing he does.
Hold on a sec.
Okay.
What does reveal mean? Because I don't actually know. I've heard many different people say different things about what reveal means. Example, Jay Robin told me reveal just means showed. Right? Some people reveal mean that like they have some sort of personal experience. Some people would think reveal means that some sort of innate knowledge. So when you say that God revealed it to me, what do you actually mean?
What I mean is that there are things within the universe that are observed by my five senses that lead me to believe that these things did not come from a cosmic flatulation in space billions of years ago. That things have a
Perfect.
so
Perfect.
that's
So
what I
now you're
yeah.
just saying that now I understand perfectly what you mean. When you say a flower reveals God, you're making some kind of inference, right? You're saying that I can look at this and through some sort of line of reasoning, the conclusion is God. What's that line of reasoning?
What's that line of reasoning?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure I understand the
it doesn't
question.
necessitate reasoning.
Excuse me, I'm not talking to you, John. Go ahead, Beckel.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
Well, when I asked you what reveal means, you told me that you see things, and through seeing those things,
Mm-hmm.
you get to God exists, right?
Well, I think things have been revealed through God's word. God's word says this is how the universe came to be, and
No,
there
hold on.
are through my five
Let's not
senses.
go to that yet. I mean, because I know there's different types of revelation, but I think the flower is the easiest one, right? Do you think that a flower
I
reveals God?
mean, yeah, sure.
Okay. And by reveal, you mean shows or indicates God, correct?
It shows indication that it was created and there was a sentient force, i.e., God, that brought it to be.
Right. So when this whole thing about revealing, you're just basically doing what we're doing. You're just making some kind of inference, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay. So you see a flower, something, something, conclusion,
We
God.
all have
So
presuppositions.
fill in the blank. We see a flower, question mark, conclusion, God exists, right?
There's a yada yada in the middle.
How do we get to fill in the blank? See, this is what I point out to everyone whenever one of these Christians says the word reveal, because it's like reveal is like smoke and mirrors, they get distracted. They don't even actually know what it means. But when you ask them what reveal means, They're just talking about an inference.
I'm not talking about an inference.
I'm not talking to you, John. Don't address me while I'm talking to Vekla, please.
Well, I guess it could either mean like look at the trees, or it could mean like some kind of spiritual experience, right? But
Well, he said it's not that, though,
mm,
right?
well, if he just means look at the trees, then yeah, why would that be
Well,
revealing?
it's not just look at the trees, right? It's I see a tree, something, conclusion
Yeah.
God exists, right? I'm asking for what that something is. So when they're talking about reveal this, reveal that, reveal this, reveal, they're just talking about reasoning. But I don't actually ever hear about the reasoning part.
That's true. That's true.
What do you
I
think, Tim?
agree. And it is reason. It is reasoning. And I'm quick to say
So
Okay.
what exactly are you
what
looking for when you
Oh, he's back.
say? Yeah, sorry about the noise in the background. So what exactly are you looking for when you say you have the objection about reasoning or something like that? What exactly are you looking for? You looking for something that would convince you of the person's position?
You're saying P therefore Q, and I'm not, and that doesn't follow, right? I'm asking for you to fill in the blanks to why Q.
So I say God exists. I believe God exists because number one, it's revealed through His Word that He exists, and number two, the things that I see and experience with my five senses.
And can
I
we focus on the flower part? I know you're talking about the Bible again, but I'd be happy to talk about that
Well, you
too.
are talking to a
But
Christian,
yes,
okay? And when
but
you talk to a theist of another sort, you might get a different response. But I'm
right,
assuming
but
I'm
we don't really
presupposing
have to talk about the Bible yet, right? Because when you see a flower, the flower indicates God, correct?
that it was created by God. Yes.
Right. So we see a flower, something, God exists. I'm asking for what is the something, because you don't just get to God exists because of flower, right?
I guess I'm not understanding your question and your objection.
If I said I see a flower, therefore God doesn't exist, what would you say to that?
No, I'm giving you something that's based off of. I'm giving you a belief that I had that I haven't yet to see objectively refuted. So that's what I'm.
Okay, so
So
now when you say
it's based off.
reveal,
It's a presupposition.
it's a
Hold on one second. Here's an
presupposition.
Yeah, everybody has presuppositions.
How is it a presupposition if it's revealed to you?
No, I'm presupposing that God exists.
You're presupposing God
That's how.
exists,
That's
don't
how I
you?
give. That's how I'm able to give an account for everything that I give answers to.
Don't you think that the tag is a valid argument?
I'm not really familiar with the tag that much. I've heard it
The
talked about.
presuppositional argument, the transcendental argument for God.
Yeah, yeah.
You are familiar with it?
A little bit, a little bit.
Uh, okay. Well, something like if God, sorry, if intelligibility exists, God exists. There's intelligibility, therefore God exists. Something like that. If X then Y, X therefore Y. Something like that. Right? That's the transcendental argument.
Ho-
I know you've heard this term many, many times.
hold that thought. Hold that thought. Hold on.
Veckel is garbage.
He pretty much said, I believe it because I presuppose it.
I hate Veckel. He's so dishonest.
So it wasn't revealed then.
So anyone who's listening to this, I don't care if it's a replay, you're in the room, you're in the audience, when Christians say reveal, you need to just ask them what they mean by that. Because most of the time, they don't even know what they mean by it. It's just
You can ask
it's
me,
what
Tom.
Well, Veckel certainly
John Lee,
doesn't
stop
know.
addressing me. Stop addressing me. Reveal is oftentimes used in situations like this because they don't get pressed on it. and it's just like they don't even, it just somehow skates by somehow, right? Well, when you ask him, like I've pressed J Rob on, he just means that like, oh, it's indicated by the flower. Well, how's it indicated, right?
Well, you know
If
what's
I say
funny
a
is when you ask Darth Dawkins, right? I mean, he's been asked this kind of question before. Like, why do you believe this? Why do you believe this? And then he's said, because God told me. He's literally said that, because God told me. Of course, he's referring to the Bible. He's not talking about private communications. But he thinks that somehow it's a justification for a belief to say that the Bible said so, right? When what's in question is whether the Bible is reliable.
so
Yeah. So
if I were to say I see a flower, therefore I know God doesn't exist, the theists wouldn't accept that. They would
Imagine
say,
if
"Oh
you
yeah."
said
They would
because
say, "Oh
God
yeah.
said
How do you
so.
figure? How do you figure? Show me why that flower indicates God doesn't exist." And they would essentially be asking me, right? I see a flower, something, something, something. God doesn't exist. Tom, fill in the blank, right? But somehow here, when I say that to Veckel, he doesn't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, Veckel, what's the fucking inference?
That God exists, that things happen for a reason. Everything exists for a specific purpose. Can I articulate that in a academic and philosophical manner? No, probably not. But I don't see any strong refutations to my position. So, I mean, if an atheist is just telling me that they're not convinced by a person's declaration of the existence of God, well, that's not an argument either. I mean, that's an argument, but it's not anything that can be fully
Well,
substantiated.
we don't know your position.
Yeah.
Your position is just I assume it. So what?
Well, how do you know that I'm assuming it? I didn't say that I assume it.
You said it's a
Right.
presupposition and that we all have presuppositions.
Yeah, but just because one has a presupposition, that doesn't mean that it's solely an assumption that cannot be substantiated.
Well,
I think
Oh,
that's what
then
it
well,
means.
substantiate it.
yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying before. I can give you my reasons. That doesn't mean just because you're not convinced of it that it's not true.
But we
It just
can't give
means
you
that
an objection
you
unless you tell
consider.
us the reasons, right?
Well, you already tried to give an objection, and
We
to
haven't
me, it
heard the
wasn't really
reasons. You just
that.
said a flower exists, therefore God exists.
Well, I didn't really hear a satisfactory objection to it. It just a discrediting and just
Well,
disregarding.
look, here's the objection. A flower exists, therefore God doesn't exist.
It just straightforwardly doesn't follow.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Fine.
Okay. Vic, let me just ask
Sure.
you.
Sure.
Just actually think about this for a second, right?
No, I thought about it. Trust me, I've heard this argument a
No.
thousand.
Hold on. Listen to what I'm gonna
Not
say,
really
right?
convinced with any objections to it.
Okay. If I said a flower exists, therefore God doesn't exist, what would you say to that?
Well, I wouldn't buy it
Okay, why?
because it doesn't follow.
Oh, okay.
It
Isn't
doesn't
that
follow.
pretty much what you were telling me earlier?
Well, that's your belief, though, isn't it? Would that be your belief? So that would be under
What's
the supposition that no God exists, right?
is what my belief?
If you were to make the claim that a flower exists, therefore no God exists, would that be a statement made based off of the presupposition that no God exists?
No.
I
Oh,
don't
really?
know why the inference works for you, but it doesn't for us.
So wait a
I don't
minute.
understand.
Somebody says a flower exists, therefore no God exists.
Uh-huh.
Where are they basing that claim on? Where are they basing that statement upon?
Apparently, I mean, this is a mirror image of your argument. Presumably you think that it follows, right?
I'm saying that all things come to existence because of a cause, and that cause is something sentient, and that sentient force or entity is God. That's what I'm saying. Now, you can disregard it and say you don't like it, and that's fine. That's not going to affect my paycheck in any way, shape, or form. It's just you just telling me that you just disregard it.
Okay, so are you agreeing that a flower exists, therefore God doesn't follow? Or
No, wait, say that one more time.
you don't agree?
Say that again.
I'm starting to get a little confused because it seemed like you're agreeing that
Okay, if
flower
you're
exists, therefore
saying,
no God doesn't follow.
if
But
if someone were to tell me a flower exists and that's proof that no God exists, okay, well, personally, I wouldn't buy it because of my own presuppositions. Okay, see that as a as a non a nonsensical statement. Okay,
So
uh,
it's nothing to do with a faulty inference. You have a different
what happened?
presupposition.
But
you
if
cut out
somebody
there.
were to say a flower exists, therefore no God exists, my next thing would be to question, okay, what are they basing that upon? How do they know that the existence of a flower indicates no God? See, so if somebody's making a statement like that, are they doing it arbitrarily just to try to trip up a Christian or a theist, or are
I
they doing
mean,
it
just
to believe
look. I don't know why you're talking about this. Just assess the argument, right? We don't have to get into any kind of meta discussion.
it? Whatever that means. Okay.
I mean, all this
I'm,
appeal to like motives and like what is the if the theist is trying to do
Echo is
this
just
and
well,
just
I don't
garbage.
want to. I don't
none of
want
it
you guys to think.
matters. None of it matters.
Well, I don't want you guys to think that I'm trying to kill the conversation. Because I'm not trying to do that. I'm just
You're
letting you guys
just an
know that
idiot.
you. Well, you can think that if you want. It's not affecting my paycheck. I don't know what's up with all the arbitrary name calling as if that's going to have any type of mental effect on me. I mean, what
I've
is
been
this 1990?
familiar with your dishonesty for years, right? I've been in discussions with you, right?
I
You're
don't
just completely dishonest piece of
I don't care if you
garbage.
think that. I don't care if you think
It's not a
that.
question of whether you care.
I don't care. I don't care
It's
if
not a
you think that.
question of whether you care. I'm
No,
telling you that
it's
you're a
not.
dishonest piece of garbage,
I don't care. I don't
right?
care
And
if you
we're
think
going to
that.
expose
I don't
that
care.
right now
I don't
when
care
we
if you think.
ask you to give the fucking
I don't
inference.
care if you think that, Jack. I don't care if you think that. Okay. You ask me for my position.
I'm asking
You
you
find
for
my
the
answer
inference,
insufficient.
dumbass.
You asked me for my position, you dummy. I gave you a
I
response.
want the
You find it
inference.
insufficient. You find it insufficient. So leave it alone.
All
What
right.
else do you want?
Well,
I'm not giving you any money. You gonna buy my T-shirts?
I don't know. Okay.
You gonna vote for me if I run for president in 2024? I mean, what's with all this name calling? As if it's supposed to matter to me. Come on now.
I'm just pointing out that it's a waste of time to talk to an idiot like you.
I told you guys that when it comes to philosophy, I'm a lightweight, man.
It's not a
So
question
I
of
told you
being.
guys
It's not
that
a
I'm.
question of you being ignorant, right, or you being dumb, right? You're just dishonest.
I don't think I'm dumb. I just think that I'm inept to have this kind of conversation to
You're
the degree.
dishonest.
That, well, you can think that if you want. I'm not being dishonest, but you can think that if you want.
The
I
record
have a
will
lie to you.
show that
And
you're
the
dishonest.
problem is
It's not a
that
question of me thinking it, right? It's going to be established.
no, it's not established. But that you
It's
can think
going to be established.
you can think that if you want. That's fine. Sorry on me. I'm getting ready to eat some Chinese food in a few minutes. So I mean, nothing you say to me about me lying, which is not me lying, has no bearing on me at all. So just trying to be honest. I told you right off the get go that hey, listen, you're dealing with a lightweight here when it comes to this level of philosophical discussion. I don't have a problem admitting that at all. Not at all.
But it
But
does come in handy.
thing is, I mean, you don't need to know any philosophy at all to
I mean,
understand that I look at a flower, therefore God. It's the same saying. I look at a flower, therefore God doesn't exist, right? Neither,
oh, yeah,
right? It's not. This is not fancy philosophy. Common sense.
But it's not so much knowing philosophy, but it's being
No,
philosophical.
I don't.
It's being
I'm sorry.
logical.
I don't.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not agreeing. It's philosophical. There are no words used. There's no syllogism. It's just like I look at a flower, therefore God exists. Like a 6-year-old would be like, huh? And then if you tell the same 6-year-old, I look at a flower, therefore God exists, and she'd be like, huh? Because both are just non sequiturs, right?
And the
Well,
Right?
point is, if you're going to use that type of inference, like,
mm.
what couldn't you believe
Yeah.
about
I
him?
look at a pizza, God exists. I look at a pizza, God doesn't exist. I mean,
Well, I'm sure
you'd
you
try to
guys
get
heard.
something else, perhaps, right? But you didn't flush it out.
Well, I mean, that's the part that I think where I'm lacking, I guess, at least in this case, in lacking ability to convince you in
Well, it's
particular.
not about. It's
Uh,
just about making sense. I mean, we're not probably not going to believe it anyway, right? But at least make some sense.
yeah, of course. That's why I have no problem with idiots like Jack trying to resort
Okay.
to attack personally.
See,
Yeah,
I
but
think
this is like the most base type of inference
That's okay,
we're
brother.
talking about, right?
It's okay, baby.
Look, Vekla. I mean, like if I say I ate a club sandwich for lunch, therefore Vekla is going to be an astronaut. Does that follow?
No, it's a non sequitur.
Right. So
Doesn't make
I'm
any
asked. Right.
sense.
So when you say flower,
Yeah,
therefore God.
but if I give you an explanation, if you ask me for the evidence of God, and I'm telling you that things that I see in the world, okay, uh, convince me that there is a designer and there is purpose behind these things. That in
That's the same inference we're all laughing at. You're just expanding on on what you're
okay,
saying.
but why do I need more than that then?
so.
Because
What?
we agreed it
Okay,
doesn't follow.
what's your reason? Okay, so if I ask you the same type of question for God doesn't exist because, what are you going to say?
Because
You're
I
going to
see
say
the
Well, I'm not
flower, therefore
you're going to
God
say
doesn't exist.
you're not
I'm
you have
say
no evidence that God
I'm not
exists, or you
saying
don't
of a
believe in
flat.
God, right?
Right. You know, there are plenty of arguments.
I'm
For
sure they are.
no, there
The
are.
question, are they sufficient? That's the
Well,
question.
you know, that may be, but there are arguments, right?
Of course there are. It's arguments
Okay.
for everything. But just because I don't have the ability right now, anyway, to uh, verbalize it to you,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that there are no arguments. You guys, come on, man. You guys have been in this thing, Google Plus, Discord,
Yeah.
Clubhouse,
Yeah.
this kind of thing for many, many years. You've come across many, many Christians
Sure.
who've provided you all kinds of far more educated responses
Hmm.
to your questions and objections, better than mine. So let's not
Yeah, but
come on.
yeah, but look, the fact that you can come up with something to reconcile some kind of conflict in the God worldview, the Christian God worldview, I think it's not as virtuous as you actually think it is.
I'm not quite sure I
I
understand
mean,
what are you saying
well,
that you're not, so you're not convinced, therefore it's not, you don't find it virtuous?
no, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, look,
Because it sounds to me
when
I'm hearing a bunch of subjectivity from you. I'm not hearing anything really objective. If I'm telling you that God exists because it's been revealed through His Word, through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and naturally speaking, I can pick up these things from one of my five senses. Um, Mainly, things like a flower.
How is that not subjective?
Well, I guess, but how would it not be?
Uh-oh.
You're just asking me the question back.
I am
well,
speaking from
that's a
I
big
am
problem for you
from
if you need it
my
to not be
well
subjective.
that is well that is my presupposition is that God exists. So and that's why I would say such a thing. Now you don't believe it, and I understand that. But at the same time, whenever I hear an atheist come up with an argument against the existence of God, I find it very unsatisfactory myself.
And you can always come up with an answer, right?
Well, whether it's you know subjective or not, there's always some sort of response, whether it's a knee jerk reaction that makes no sense or there's something really meaningful to it. Doesn't
Right,
mean
and if
that.
you think about it, you'll come up with something, or you'll read about it, and somebody will have some kind of answer to the objection. And when that happens, you find some solace, and you're like, oh, huh, phew, worldview defended. It's still real, right?
Well, again, I think I haven't yet heard any real meaningful reasons for the non existence of God.
Yeah, but this is what I'm talking about. Look, I don't think that this virtue of being able to come up with something is as virtuous as you think it is, right? And I tell this to theists all the time.
Uh,
It's actually very, very difficult to have a knockdown argument for almost anything, which is why I say if you think it's such a virtue that you can deflect this or that, you know, the crit with you can defend the Christian God concept with, coming up with this or this resolution, I will happily defend the Star Wars worldview against you or anyone, and I can come up with something to. You think I'm joking? Falsify the Star Wars worldview.
Oh, trust me, dude. You're talking to a Christian. Okay, I believe that Satanism is real and demons exist. So of course, you can use anything to convince people. Come on now.
What?
I will say this. Oh man, you said something that made
What
me.
did you just? I don't even understand what you just said.
I say, well, you brought up the example of trying to convince people of Star Wars, right? Isn't that what you kind of used?
No. I
Didn't you
brought
just
up
say
Star
something like,
Wars. I brought up Star Wars because I think that I can do what you do with Christianity with Star Wars, right?
okay, yeah,
You think it's a real virtue to be like, okay, they came up with this objection, and I found answers for all of them. I patched the ship up, right? Every hole that's sprung, I put a finger in it, right? I can do that with Star Wars. It's
yes,
not as great as you think it is.
okay. That's what I was saying to you. That it doesn't matter what kind of argument with somebody's going to be convinced of anything. You could
This is a
talk
matter
about
of this. This is
anything.
not a matter of convincing, right?
Yes, it
I,
is.
I can actually come up with a resolution to the supposed contradictions that you're going to come up with,
Can
right?
you come up with?
And if I can defend Star Wars worldview
Okay,
better, as good as you
okay.
can defend the Jesus Christ worldview,
And then
really, is it really that great that you can come up with an answer? Should you really feel really satisfied and feel solace when you come up with a rebuttal for this or that?
I can if I
Should
want.
you?
I can if I want to. And why would that be a problem under the non-believer's worldview? Why would that be a problem? I could believe anything I want, right? As long as I'm not infringing on anybody's freedom or
What are you
personal.
talking about now,
But
man?
why would it be a problem for me to buy into any type of argument for Star Wars and believe that it's ultimately
You don't. I'm not. It's not about believing in Star Wars. It was about being able to rebut objections to the Star Wars
okay?
worldview.
Whether it's being rebutted or defended and properly defended from somebody's worldview, okay? What difference does it make either way? What
Difference.
if you were to argue with somebody, say that Chewbacca exists, but I can't prove it, he's in another planet right now, and the person you're talking to just believes it? What difference does it make?
The significance is that you're on par with the Star Wars worldview.
Okay, but do you believe? Okay, but if the person,
Is that a comfortable position for you, Veckel?
I guess what I'm trying to ask is if it comes down to you, you have to be quiet.
I've never gotten a person to actually try and assault the Star Wars worldview. Not a single person. Do you know that?
Game over. Game over. Lights out.
Yeah, that's fine.
You've just been completely obliterated publicly.
Shut up while I'm talking, right?
You've been folded like a chair caught with your pants down.
Will you fucking shut him up? I want to respond.